program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ines, this is Safari Live. Welcome to the magical Mara for your very own privately guided live African safari. We are on the edge of the Musiara Marsh. Not 100% sure who the female is, but these 6 young nomadic males seem to have set up shop in this area. I have seen them a couple of times before, but quite far from here. My name is Brent Smith. I have Dangerous Dave Eastor on camera, and Nicholas is our ranger who's looking after us. And we've been out all night, so if we stumble over our words a little, we apologize. Now, last night, for those of you who are watching the Sunset Safari, I said, I think we're going to get lucky and the rain is going to miss us. I was wrong. Very, very, very wrong. Dave and I managed to get a little damp, but we managed to keep all the kit dry. And we had to park and hide from the rain under the Musiara gate. And then we got going again at about 4 o'clock this morning, and we found these lions spread out around the marsh. Now, I said there are 6 young males, but currently this young male is not letting this female out of his sight. And it is not for her lack of trying to escape. She wants almost nothing to do with him if you watch her body language. She's being very submissive without being aggressive. She doesn't want to get beaten up. But we go watch now. This could be watch her. She's not very interested. She tries to move away, but she can't get too aggressive with him because he will attack, especially young males at this age. Look how stiff she is. Look how flat her ears are. She has really got absolutely zero interest in this, how would you say it, amorous teenager. As in lion terms, that's probably what he is. He's a young teenager. Look at her. She is so unhappy. She's showing submission, but she's also showing that she's not happy with his presence. And he's growling back at her. Now, of course, he wants to mate. She's probably not in estrus. And you find she's possibly trying to get back to the rest of her pride. But with these 6 boys around, it's proving difficult. Now, they were all here together a bit earlier. Now there's only 2 males here. The other 4 have walked off towards the edge of the forest around Governor's Camp. And you can see every time she moves, he set marks to try maintain a bit of dominance. Now, we've got something that hasn't really happened before to us, Dave, has it? We are on the edge of the Musiara swamp, and we are literally being attacked by, let's have a look, what do they look like? Now, in South Africa, the sort of general term, they're even mating, would be muggies. So we are absolutely, there's a mating, it looks like a midge or an ant of some kind, but we are, there's the mating pair over there. It looks like the dark black ones are males, and the reddish ones are females. Now, I'm not quite sure, they could be adult stoneflies would be my guess. Now, the stoneflies are very, very cool little insects. They've been completely buzzing around my head. So what happens with stoneflies is that the larval stage lives underwater, and what they do is that their saliva can act like a glue, and they'll collect little bits of pebbles and build an stone casing for their abdomen and thorax and their softer parts, and when they get threatened, they can actually go inside and close the door. And they have lots of thousands of different species of stoneflies. Now, I'm just looking at their body shape. That's what I think it is. I'm not 100% sure, but it is quite exciting. Now, of course, we're not the only people out and about, and you are thoroughly spoiled today because you get to go on safari in Kenya and South Africa simultaneously. So let's go see what Byron's plans are for the morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Djuma. My name is Byron, and with me on camera is Sebastian. And then Taylor's also out on this side of the world, so we're hoping to find you some interesting animals around this area this morning. I'm looking for anything with teeth and claws. That's going to be my aim this morning. Lions or leopards, we'll see. Now, what I've just found right next to us is a herd of Impala, but I wanted to point out how the Impala are actually browsing at the moment. If you have a look, so there, those two are grazing, and then just off to the left, you can see that one is browsing on the leaves of trees. And it looks like a little guarri that it's browsing off of. Now, that is one of the reasons why the Impala do so well, is they are mixed feeders, so they're able to feed on a variety of vegetation, not just grass, but also the shrubs and the bushes and the trees, especially in times of winter when there's not as much food around. It's just interesting to see that you could see the Impala either browsing or grazing, whereas most antelope species are either one or the other. They are not usually both. It's quite chilly this morning. Well, we had really, really strong winds last night. Yesterday was incredibly hot. I couldn't believe how warm it was yesterday and yesterday evening. And then the wind picked up and it's kind of cooled everything down. Apparently it's about 60, 61 degrees Fahrenheit, about 15 or 16 degrees Celsius. I must be honest, it feels a little bit colder than that. But I'm sure the day will warm up again. But the wind was howling last night. Now, that could actually work in our favor, and I'll tell you why. It's because with the wind howling, often the predators find it a bit easier to hunt. So with the wind blowing, making a lot of noise and swirling around, it might be easier for these predators to stalk their prey, get a little bit closer and hopefully hunt. So you never know. We could find some animals with a kill this morning. That would be wonderful and exciting. So we're going to have a good look around. I'm scanning very carefully for any tracks. Anna Marie, you say it does look like it's cold and that I'm bundled up. I am indeed. I've got my beanie on, which is a great beanie. It was given to me by one of the viewers, Chris. I hope she's watching. It was when I made a trip over to the States earlier this year. Met up with a few viewers, and I was given this warm beanie, and it works perfectly because it can go over my hat. So I still have the microphone. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. But yes, gloves, scarf, everything. Now I wonder if Taylor's as bundled up as I am. Let's go across and say good morning to her.
I'm not sure just yet. We'll get there. I'm just going to stop up on the crest of this hill. Hello again, everybody. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Senzo, and we are searching for lions. And I can hear some very unhappy Franklins, but we know that they like to tell stories every day. Now, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit tired this morning because apparently my body is practicing for Kenya already a few days before, with only getting as little sleep as Brent and Jamie have been having lately. So that's fun. But hopefully you're going to find lots of things. Remember, this is live, this is happening right now, so if you want to have chats with us, you can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can also chat to us on the YouTube chat. Now, last night I mentioned to you that the sticks look like they might come north from Little Gowrie. Apparently they popped into Chitwa in the last sort of 20 minutes of drive. We're a little bit too far away to get there, and then they crossed northeast. I'm trying to figure out where they crossed northeast. Okay, I have lion tracks now. Now I'm going to follow the lion tracks, just try and figure out where exactly they were walking. Maybe this will explain why the birds are a little bit jittery this morning. Okay, let me show you. I don't want to jump out and spend too much time on the ground, but if you look very carefully, you can see just in this little section here, just off of the road, there's quite a few patterns on the ground, and those patterns happen to be lion feet. Well, not actual lion feet. That would be terrible. That would be horrific. It's lion footprints. Those all in the sand from the Styx Pride. I did also see a pair of male and female footprints heading along Gari, Maine, just near Weaver's Nest Junction, and sort of heading west. So hopefully Byron will pick up on them, because they seem to be going in the direction that he was going to check, that sort of western corner. Okay, so they've crossed the road, they're walking here. I think they may have actually gone into Vuyatela from this, or Djuma from this side. And there's lots of waterbuck around here, often lots of zebra too, plenty warthogs. Oh no, they're back in the road again. They're walking up this way. And I'm just trying to figure out which is the most fresh tracks. This road obviously gets driven quite a bit. But it's also a bit windy. Through most of the night, the wind didn't die down at all. And that can very easily blow away the tracks, but these tracks look relatively fresh. So I wonder if they didn't come onto Djuma and then cross again, because now they're going up and down. Silly cats. Footprints going there, they like to walk through here. But they did a loop. Let's go check Cheetah Cutline, because the last time they did this, they crossed and went past Gwen's old burrow that used to be occupied by Warthog at 1.2, and then they cross back down Cheetah Cutline and go into Chitwa. So let's very quickly just check the rest of the road. There's no more lion tracks on here, so they've definitely veered off. And I can see a lot of movement from vehicles, so this must have been them moving around here last night. Okay, and then that will explain why they said they went northeast. That makes a whole lot of sense, and I'm starting to put the pieces of the puzzle back together. Okay, we'll check this junction. It's very important. As I said, lions are creatures of habits. Most of the predators are, but they did not cross back. That's good for us. Okay, now, I think we must just check. Almost went back to my South African Santon voice there. We're just going to check Cheetah Cutline quickly. And we'll have a look and see. We're just important that we keep sort of scanning off to the left. It's fairly open, so we should be able to see them if they're moving through a gap. Now, Hannah, you're wondering, how do you tell the difference between a male and a female track for any animal? This is a very difficult question to answer. The reason being because not all the tracks are the same. Firstly, obviously each species has a unique footprint, and then the other thing, of course, is because some species the females are bigger than the males, and with others the males are bigger than the females, so that also depends. But with a lion track, seeing as though we're tracking lions, if I find some really nice ones, we'll have a look. The others were fairly wind blown though, like I said, just because of last night. It was gusting quite a bit. The male tracks are almost the size of your hand, so they're much larger than females. It just becomes difficult when they're young male lions and they're only just a year old. Can be a bit tricky, but the base of the track is as wide as it is long, whereas the female's tracks are slightly longer than they are wide. Okay, so these are just lots of hippos walking back down Cheetah Cutline, heading towards Chitwa Dam. Obviously they came up and grazed in this area. I think we'll go down Leadwood, and that's sort of the first road that would intersect the direction that they're walking, and then we'll start from there, because there's no tracks crossing over into Torchwood just yet. And then we might try and go and find the warthogs that we saw yesterday and see if we can catch him waking up. But Brent, of course, has got cats in the Mara. Let's go back to him and see if they're going to get on the move.
Well, here we go. Unfortunately, the other 4 young males are somewhere in those thickets behind. And this is the only fat-bellied one of them. Oh, and he is quite fat-bellied. The others are actually hungry. Looks like this guy almost ate a whole warthog by himself, sneakily on the edge of the marsh, while the others were all distracted by cavorting with a lady. There might be a kill inside these trees. We're right on the edge of the riverine forest at the moment, and the flies are seriously irritating this boy. I do love young male lion coalitions. They are so much fun to spend time with. I know, I'm quite sad that it rained all the way after midnight last night, because I think these guys last night would have got up to quite a lot. But I definitely don't think it's the last time we're going to see them. Look at how angry he's getting with the biting flies. Catch it, boy. Catch it. Now, there are 6 of these males, and I know there's quite a few different coalitions of young males moving about in the Mara. But if any of you out there know anything about this group of 6 young males, I'd love to hear from you. Hashtag Safari Live. Oh, he's got a bit of a wound on his back, and that's obviously where the flies are going for. That's probably from fighting with the other coalition members. Or he could have had a run-in with a dominant male, like similar to what Jamie saw yesterday. Now, Elizabeth is wondering, will a male try and mate with a female, even if she is not in estrus? You won't get very far. Must remember lionesses, and it could be the case now that when a lioness is under pressure like this with 6 marauding young males about, she might come into a semi-false estrus, just as a form of protection. So she's not in true estrus, and she might give the male a chance to sort of mate, but not really. But, oh, in this tree right here, Dave, sorry, let's go up. There's a very beautiful bird. Yeah, that one. Up a bit. There we go. Down a bit. Stop right, there we go, off to the right. Come on, pop out into the open. Now, I think I know, yes, it is what I think it is. Oh, it's gone. It was one of the weavers. I didn't get a good view of which one. Could be Spectacled, could be Bella Weaver. I always struggle with that weaver. I never know how to pronounce its name. But it is quite nice being on the edge of the forest. I'm just going to keep quiet for a second. Just listen to the sounds that are around this area. We've got hardy-dog ibises, mayor's parrots, green pigeons. Oh, okay, Dave. Big tree to the right. There, just in that area there. Bird landed. A little bit to the left. Right up against this. Oh, there we go. Tuk, 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 tuk. There we go. Down to the... Well, there we go. On the ground. To the right, sorry. In that little... There we go. Oh, let's have a look. Did you see that flash of colour, Dave? Oh, this is exciting. Yes, I think it is one of my most favourite birds. Psh, 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 psh. There we go. So that tuk 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 we're listening to is the gorgeous call of a tropical boo-boo. But what I thought I saw pop into there is that wonderful chortling call we're hearing there. Let's see if they answer. Which is that of a white-browed robin. Chat used to be called a Hugueland's robin. Now, one of the birds that is exquisitely beautiful in song and in sight. La Moore would like to know, what are all the dry vines from? They're not actually dry vines. They're just the stems of living vines. They look mostly to be ricinosus vines. I'm just going to move forward a skosh. Let's see if we can see that robin chat. I'm going to try my little distress call quickly. Now, that often works to get your skull. There we go. You see it flopping around there, Dave? That's not the same bird, though. Right in the center there. Oh, it's a little woodpecker. So not the bird I was looking for originally. Oh dear, I forgot my bird book this time. There we go. So you guys are going to have to get a screenshot of it. I think I know which one it is. Oh, and he's off. And send it to me and I'll identify it for you. I'm guessing though, and I don't like guessing. So I forgot my bird book today. That was very silly of me. I've been out all night looking at lions. You thought I was going to be looking at birds. Naughty Brent. So I'll have to just send me a screenshot. Just tag me in it on Twitter with the hashtag Safari Live, and I will identify it when I get back to camp today. Okay, let's keep moving. I think these lions are going to be a little bit boring. So let's go have a look at where the migration is. Head up onto Rhino Ridge. As I said, we haven't been in this area for a really long time. Dave, when was the last time you were in this area? Was that with me? So that must have been some time around here. Block a bit of the signal. So just up ahead here towards Rhino Ridge, there is a mass amount of wildebeest and zebra. And also last night I started seeing quite a lot of Thompson's gazelle coming in as well, so very exciting. And well, actually there's wildebeest even closer than I thought, right on the edge of the airstrip. Here we go. Hello, Gnus. So we're going to wander off. We might come back to check on these lines a little bit later, but while we do that, let's head back to Djuma.
Now, while Brent wanders off, I'm going to carry on looking for tracks. So I am looking for tracks, but what do I see here? This is interesting. Give me a second. I just want to double check and make sure. I'll try and jump off here quickly. So we've been scanning around. We haven't found anything just yet. I've seen some tracks along here. Oh, this substrate or the ground is quite hard, so it's a bit difficult to see clear tracks. But it looked like a paw mark of sorts. However, to be honest, I think it is actually a track of my favorite animal, a honey badger. I think that's what it was. They're not very clear. And let me just double check back quickly. Yeah. Tracks of a honey badger that probably walked past here last night sometime, or early hours of the morning. It's always great to see tracks of these honey badgers. I just wish I could find one. I haven't seen one for quite some time. And some of you might know, that's my favorite animal. I love the honey badgers. But to see them is very difficult. Because they're mainly nocturnal, it is hard to find them from time to time. You never know, you could bump into one at any time. So keep our eyes peeled. I was watching a little bit yesterday evening, and Jamie was out on drive, and she saw that serval. I'm not sure if any of you got to see that, but it was fantastic to watch that serval jumping and pouncing and catching a rodent in the Mara. And I was really excited about that. I've not seen serval for a long time. So to see it and see how, well, they're great hunters, the way they pounce through the long grass, it was fantastic. Bobby, you asked why the honey badger is my favorite animal. Bobby, honey badgers, I love them because they are so tenacious. They're not afraid of anything. They've just got this attitude about them, and they're incredibly tough creatures, very, very tough creatures. So I just love their attitude, their carefree attitude, and yeah, they're just wonderful animals. I love them. It's kind of like a, I don't know. They can be also quite aggressive if they feel threatened, and I just think they're awesome. Makeup Girl, you asked if the honey badgers are very shy. They are shy creatures, to an extent. In some parts of Africa, in southern Africa, where the honey badgers are used to getting food, maybe from camps or anything like that, if they go and raid certain areas, then they're less shy. Then they're a little more used to people and a little bit more habituated, but generally a honey badger is a shy creature. Oh, no, I can see elephant tracks along the road here. I'll see if we can find some, but it sounds like Taylor has found one to show you already.
We have, but it's not the animal that I was hoping for. I was really counting on finding the Styx Pride this morning, but that could happen a little bit later. We have found a haul of 2 elephants. It's very difficult to tell what sex they are from here, but just by the fact that there's actually only 2 of them, I'm going to say that they are bulls. I could be wrong, though. I think they are bulls, because that one on the left has got quite large tusks, and I don't see mammary glands. But let me go further forward. We might catch another. Oh, no, he's coming this way. Turn around. I'm waiting for him to come towards us. He's not quite sure in which direction he's going either just yet this morning. He goes left and right, and then he goes a little bit south. And then he comes back around this way. I don't even think that they've bothered to check that we are here. They're completely oblivious about us. I'm sure they would have heard us coming. But he hasn't paid any attention to us. Well, neither of them have, which I suppose is a good thing. I think that they may have been swimming yesterday too. This one looks quite sort of dark, and I thought I could see some wet patches when he comes out. From hiding behind the trees, we might be able to see the wet patches that I'm talking about. I wonder which dam they were swimming at. Well, they could have just been splashing themselves with water. That's also the case. But there's something there that is delicious. Senzo, let me go forward. I think if I go a little bit further forward, we'll get a gap. Watch, as I do that, and he's going to step out into the gap too. We'll sit like that. That's a little bit better. Not quite as obscured as we sort of had a view before. Like I said, lovely set of ivory. Not quite matching in terms of, well, one's growing a little bit quicker than the other, but that's also normal. It's actually not as common to have an elephant with ivory that matches or of the same size and same shade. Not sure what is even shade is not a word. Shape. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't get any sleep today, so speaking is going to be interesting. Worse than what it normally is. Oh, goodness. But they look nice and white, though. It's like he's polished them. Oh, well, now that we're so close, not so white. But I reckon one of them is wearing quicker than the rate at which it's growing, and just because, can you believe it, elephants are actually left or right tusked. They will use one tusk more as a digging tool or to strip the bark from trees, all these different types of things. And then, of course, that affects the growth, and they will wear down. Come on, boys, come this way. I think that they could be quite entertaining this morning. But if you have just joined us, welcome. And we look forward to hearing from you today. Remember, you can ask us questions, #Safari Live, or chat to us via the YouTube chat. You can use those 2 ways. But yes, I don't know, maybe he didn't go swimming. Maybe he just covered himself in mud yesterday. And then that could have been at any dam. That looks like a normal patch of skin, the typical colour that an elephant is, normally that greyish colour. And you can see all the dark brown there from all the mud from the water. And I'm not surprised to see this, because yesterday was an exceptionally hot morning as well, right through into the afternoon and late evening, and the temperature didn't really start to drop until the early hours of the morning. So he could have even done that late last night. Who knows? We know that the elephants like to swim at any time of the day. Alice, am I still live? I'm just worried. I'm panicked because sometimes I get nervous when I don't hear anything. Always just making sure. Michael, you're wondering if it's Well, there's a question mark at the end of the sentence. Let me just give you the question. The question is, elephant bulls come into must earlier in captivity because of good nutrition, question mark. Now, Michael, I don't actually think it's because of the nutrition. I think it's because there's probably not a massive, big, dominant bull there to keep them all in check. And we see that out here. You see that on these game reserves, the smaller private game reserves that don't have big open systems like we have here in the greater Kruger National Park. Remember the Sabi Sand, this private wilderness area that we're on is indeed open to the Kruger. So it gives these animals 8.5 million acres of land to move around on. So that's quite large. So in captivity, they haven't got anywhere close to that amount of space to move around on. And typically at zoos, at the safari parks, all these different types of things, they might not have a massive elephant bull, but they'll have younger bulls, sort of like the ones that we're looking at right now. And if there's no big bulls around to keep them in check, then yes, there's definitely a possibility of them coming into must earlier. However, when there are lots of big bulls around, and we talk about this often out here, one of the questions is when does a bull come in must? And it's not a very easy answer to question because there's no sort of set in stone date. But out here, with all the big tuskers, not even tuskers, just large elephant bulls that come around, it can take them, up to 20-25 years, which is good. It's about a normal age. Now, X-Ranger, you're wondering if elephants clean their tusk. I've seen elephants cleaning their tusk before. Sometimes when they go down to the water's edge, or sometimes not even at the water's edge at all, you'll see an elephant pushing its trunk over its tail. Even sometimes the tusk goes into its trunk a little bit, and they'll turn it around as if it was a pipe cleaner, and they'll give it a good wash. They don't do it all the time, though. Typically their tusks are stained with vegetation, the green from the grass. You normally see that quite a bit, and on their trunks, especially when they start to eat the lovely green grass in the rainy season. And then you can of course also see it when they're feeding on leaves. It leaves a bit of a residue, and that will coat their tusks in their trunk, but it's quite easy to sort of come off, 1 or 2 swimming sessions, and normally it's quite clean. But they don't groom themselves like a lion, obviously, but like I said, it's not an uncommon sight to see an elephant sort of moving its trunk around over its ivory, and then, well, you can clearly see afterwards, especially when they're in the water, it's much brighter white. So it's just like going to the dentist and having a whitening session, but you do it on your own. So it's one of those home kits. Not really, I don't know why I said that. But what I also have noticed is that how itchy elephants tend to be at the folds of skin at the base of their tusks. Obviously, it might get a little bit irritated every now and then. Again, I told you the story 2 days ago about the elephant that rubbed that sort of area, her tusk, up against the back bar of my car. Not doing it maliciously, but just she was itchy. And then I've also seen it with elephants again. You'll see them sticking their trunk around that area, and I'm sure they get bits of debris and things stuck, and bits of leaves and sticks also stuck underneath those folds of skin, which can be a bit of a nuisance. Right, we'll see where these Ellies go, but I think we might continue and follow up on those lion tracks. Let's go to Brent. He has got one of the smaller scavengers in the Mara.
Well, 2 very happy black-backed jackals munching down on the remnants of a wildebeest stomach. Now, we came through this area last night trying to desperately get out of the rain, and there were hyenas chasing big herds of wildebeest up and down. So I'm pretty sure this is the leftover of the hyena kill from last night, and there are some hyenas still munching on what's left over off to the right. I think it's a wildebeest. Let's go have a closer look, maybe. There we go. There's some zebra in the background as well. So there's just so much happening in this area at the moment. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can see any bits of carcass around that might tell us what that the hyena and jackal are munching on. Let's go a little bit closer to the hyena. It's always nice to catch up with a jackal. Now, you do get both black-backed and side-striped in the Mara. I've only seen side-striped once, and that was close to the Sand River. Black-backed definitely far more common. There we go. I think it's a wildebeest. I can see a piece of leg in that one's mouth. Looking guilty, as always. I do love hyenas. I've noticed a lot of people up here are not the biggest fans of hyenas. I still really do enjoy them. Oh, I think their range of vocalizations is absolutely astounding. Now remember, if you want to ask us any questions, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Now, it's so clear after all the rain last night that do you think we're going to be able to see camp from here, Dave? Maybe. I think FC might be just tucked around the corner. It's in, let me just get my bearings. It's in that valley there. Let's see if we can see where Kirsten is sitting. FC's hiding just behind the... Ooh! Jackals fighting with the vultures and marabou stalks. Let me just move back a bit. And James is wondering, where do jackals typically den in the Mara? Well, wherever there's a suitable hole in the ground. So, old termite mounds. Oh, when do they? They'll den throughout the year. They're not very, very specific on the time of the year they den. So it all just depends on the individual pair. Marabou stalks, white-backed vultures, and black-backed jackals. We're just missing a couple of vulture species to have the whole cleanup crew here. I'm just having a quick look. As I say that, there's some low-flying competition coming in. Still whitebacks. Yeah, whiteback vultures. No rupels, griffins, or lappets yet. The marabou's got the choice prize. Now, where are those jackal gone? Let's have a look. Maybe they're taking that piece of meat back to a den. Now, David's wondering, are jackals similar size to wild dogs? Not at all. They are much, much smaller. Jackal's probably a little bit bigger than a Jack Russell, whereas a wild dog, although not as heavily built, is probably about the same size as a German Shepherd. There they are. It's amazing to think we could barely see 10 meters in the rain last night, and now we can see for miles. It's not too often you see jackals with fat bellies, and those are quite fat bellies for little jackals. I'm just trying to see. Oh, actually, I think she might be pregnant, looking at her. Or is she lactating? Actually, I think she's lactating. Can we zoom in on her tummy, please, Dave, if you get a chance? Yeah, it looks like she's lactating, so they do have a den around here somewhere. And you can see the suckle marks around her teats. But if she's still suckling like that, you'd probably find the pups are still underground and they haven't... not spending too much time away from the den yet. There's quite a lot of spots that would make good dens around here. Lots of termite mounds. Oh, Dave, low-flowing... Low-flowing. That's what happens when you stay up all night. Low-flying Rupel's griffin. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous, Dave. Lovely. Now, see, immediately the whiteback vultures move off. Even the marabou takes a cautious step. Henk is wondering, are griffins considered vultures? Yes, most definitely. It's just a different name. They're generally a bit bigger. There are two species of griffins that can possibly occur in Africa, the Ruppel's griffin being by far the most common. Actually, just before I came up to Kenya, there was a Ruppel's griffin who got a bit lost, who ended up in the Soutpansbach in South Africa. Got another low flyer coming in. Test day of skills. Oh, I love watching them fly. Oh, that's a battle-scarred one. Look at that. Another Ruppel's. But a bit of a bedraggled-looking one. Is that Ruppel's? No, it's just a really big whiteback, I think. No, it can't be. It's too big. It's just lacking that colour on the bill. It is. It's a really big whiteback vulture. He's got a bit of down attached to his face. Woke up a bit late, rushed out of bed, forgot to wash his face, and still late on the carcass. Silly, silly chap. Hi, Aaron in New Zealand. Aaron's wondering, do any other stork species, apart from the marabou stork, scavenge? I'm just trying to think now. I have seen yellow-billed storks and saddle-billed storks and that scavenge, but not normally. It's very rare. They're not dedicated scavengers like marabous. Okay, I think it's time for an adventure. Dave and I are going to move into the herds and see what's happening on top of the ridge. As I say, I haven't been here properly since about the end of May, and well, last night doesn't really count. We were trying to keep dry and out of the rain. So let's go see in this glorious early morning what's happening. Now, while we drive away from the rising sun towards the west, let's go to Byron, who's apparently driving and glowing in the morning light.
Now, Brent seems to be having a lot of luck with all those birds up in the Mara. Excuse me. Now, I'm trying to do a bit of birding myself, because it doesn't seem like there's much else going on for the moment. It is still early, I suppose. Too soon to panic, as I always say. Can feel the temperature's actually dropped a little bit more. I think as the sun rises, just as the sun rises, it's often the coldest time of the morning. Some elephant tracks crossing the road. Now, Taylor had tracks of a pride of lions, but she hasn't managed to find anything just yet. I'm thinking of going into that area and giving her a hand, and just see if maybe we don't have luck finding those lions. I think it's possibly the Styx pride that moved into our area last night, or into Djuma. Not sure if they're still around. Hopefully they are. But still scanning very carefully for any sign of animals. Seb, what do you think? Should we head past Treehouse Dam? Shall we? I think so. Let's go check a dam, see if something went to drink. There's lots of fresh elephant tracks around here, crossing the road backwards and forwards, but it looks like most of them are heading south onto Little Gowrie. I'll see, maybe we bump into some elephant later. I walk in the rain. You wanted to know if I've ever seen an aardwolf. I have indeed. I've seen a few aardwolf. Not here though. In other parts of the country, up in the Kalahari and that, I've seen aardwolf over there. Now, for those of you who are wondering what is an aardwolf, Let me show you quickly. Find a picture and show you. Amazing little creatures. Aardwolf, directly translated, basically means earth wolf. That's what it means. Now, it's kind of related to the Hyena family. Let me just find it quickly for you. Show you what an aardwolf looks like. Like I said, I have been lucky enough to see a few of them. There we go. That's an aardwolf. Look at that. Very strange looking creatures. Now, it's interesting, this little creature. It's a bit, to give you an idea, it's a bit bigger than a jackal. I know Brent saw some jackal this morning. A bit bigger than jackal, but quite hairy. Long, shaggy coats. They feed mainly on insects and termites. That's what the aardwolf feeds on. Interesting little creatures. Beautiful. But I have seen, not in this area, they do occur through just about the whole of South Africa, or Southern Africa, but I think they found mainly in drier areas. That's usually where you find the aardwolf, sorry. Yeah, I've never seen an aardwolf in the Sabi Sands. I actually wonder if anybody else has. I don't think I know of anyone that's seen an aardwolf in the Sabi Sands. I think the beanie can come off now. It's not that cold. My Elmer Fudd beanie. Apparently I look like Elmer Fudd when I wear the beanie. Rashni, you asked what the correct pronunciation for aardvark is. Well, that's it, aardvark. So V-A-R-K, vark. Now, the Afrikaans, so one of the languages in South Africa, Afrikaans, which is basically Dutch, very similar to Dutch, they would pronounce it aardvark. Aardvark, and vark is pig in Afrikaans, or Dutch vark, but the aardvark, we say aardvark, and that's how we pronounce it. Alright, well, we're heading down towards Treehouse Dam now. We're going to see what we can find down there. It's actually a beautiful morning, a lovely morning here in Djuma. Patsy, as far as I know, the aardwolf are not endangered. They are found, as I said, all over, but they are quite shy nocturnal animals, generally nocturnal, so you don't often see them. But no, I don't think they're endangered. Now, I was thinking yesterday that I'm here now for, I think, 2 weeks. About 2 weeks. So, maybe for a bit of fun, I suggest that why don't the viewers over the next 2 weeks send me some challenges, animals to find, or it can be anything, something to climb or whatever. Let's start a 2-week challenge. How's that? So something that I can do. Something to break. No, I don't want to break anything. Are you speaking about Rusty and the steering rod? We all know, for some reason, Rusty steering rods get bent quite easily. But why don't we come up with a challenge? Like I said, animals or birds to find or anything like that. You see, I've opened a can of worms here now. Jared says the first thing he wants to see are honey badgers mating. Okay. We'll try. I don't know what the chances of that are. Well, you never know. I'm just scanning the dam here quickly. I don't see anything. I think I'm going to carry on. I want to try and get to where those lion tracks where that Taylor had. I haven't seen any tracks yet this side, so... Alright, well, let's go to the Shuka model himself, Brent, and let's go find out what he's doing in the Mara.
Well, we've reached the edge of the herd, so we're just driving around. I'm trying to look for some lions up here, but it's always nice to just meander through thousands upon thousands of wildebeest. Now, Byron, well, the Shuka model has a challenge for Byron. I say in his 2 weeks, 100 bird species on camera, Byron. I think that's a decent challenge. What do you guys think? Tell me. Hashtag Safari Live. Should Byron try get you 100 bird species in 2 weeks? Kirsten in Final Control likes it. Oh, look! It's a pig amongst the wild beasts. Hello, Warty. Oh, it is magnificent this morning. That rain really clears the air, and you can see it doesn't clear your ears, it clears the air. Oof. I'm definitely going to enjoy my sleep this afternoon. But as you can see, you can see for vast distances. And I really like this area because the short grass, now that the wildebeest have munched it, it does provide us with some spectacular visuals. There we go. Byron has accepted the challenge. Good for you, Byron. Okay. Oh, you find all sorts of strange stuff on safari. What have we got here? I think this probably fell off someone's game drive vehicle. Maybe Dave's got himself a new pair of pants. Dave, new pair of pants for you?
Oh, it looks great.
I think it's a bit small. I think this is a child's pants or lady's pants. There you go. Let's just chuck them in the back there. Don't like leaving stuff lying around. Oh, bless you, Nick. Okay, let's keep moving. See, look at these wildebeest. They don't even react when we jump out to fetch the new safari pants. They actually look they're quite fancy pants. Quite wet after last night's rain there. I wonder if a hyena dragged them around. Hello, chitty chatty Meg. Nice to have a chitty chat with you this morning. And chitty chatty Meg would like to know, are the animals more active on cold nights? Oh, not really. I'd actually say they're less active. Sorry, those little things were flying around me earlier seem to have a little bit of an itchy bite to them when you try to sweep them away. So not really. I'd say they're actually less active. You must remember, being at a very high altitude, which we are here, the climate is quite nice, even for the predators. So it is cool almost every night. So when it's cold, the lions actually seem to be less active. And the wildebeest, zebra, and other animals sort of hunker down. When it is, however, raining, like it was last night, and the lions tend to, if they are hungry, take that opportunity, because of course they can sow mass confusion amongst the herd, especially in strong winds and rain. We have some gazelles up ahead. But while we make let's have a quick look at the gazelles before we head back to South Africa. We got two species of gazelle spread out there. We got a Thompson's gazelle closest. Hello, Tom Tom. And the gazelle that really doesn't like the wildebeest, and they try and move away from them. And it's not really a reverse migration, it's sort of just an attempt at avoidance when the wildebeest are around. Is that, there we go, the Grant's gazelles up on top of there. And there's a warthog. Now, with normally in this area, the grass is so long, you don't get to see that many warthog, but there are lots of warthogs here. Wildebeest are providing us with the perfect viewing platform. Okay, now we're going to go across to Byron, who's got one of the antelope you will not see in the Masai Mara.
Now we've got some kudu that are in front of us. Crossing the road, there goes a youngster. Now, as we stopped here, we've also heard lions calling. It sounds like those lions were south of our boundary, though. So I'm not sure if the Styx pride that we were looking for, or are looking for, if they cross back south. I'm going to double check the boundary. Jenny, you said you were hoping to see kudu. Well, there we go. Jenny, tick, first challenge. You challenged me to find a kudu. There we go. Now, Brent's challenge about the birds, I kind of like it. There's a lovely view of this young male just crossing the road. Now, I like Brent's challenge. To be honest, 100 birds in winter, especially now, it's a bit difficult. It's a bit difficult, but it's a nice challenge nonetheless. So we can. How's about we keep a record of all the birds we find in the next 2 weeks and see what number we can get up to. But it's got to be on camera apparently. That's quite tricky. Oxpeckers. Do you get the oxpeckers? Oxpeckers around? Let's see where they are. Some flew over now, but we could. There's one on the kudu. So red-billed oxpecker is the first one. Here we go, one right here, crossing the road now, Seb. There's an oxpecker sitting on it. There we go. First bird, red-billed oxpecker. All right, now, I think, are we going to ask, I wonder if Alice has perhaps got a pen and paper in the final control. Or one of the ladies, perhaps. I see Alice is on it already. She's made a note. So that's our first bird. So we'll see. Okay. We'll try to see how many birds we can get. Seb, we're going to have to be quick. There's beautiful light now on these kudu as they're walking through the area, through this thicket. I do enjoy seeing the kudu. Beautiful antelope with those huge ears. Now, this is one of the species of antelope that is a strict browser. So I spoke about the Impala this morning being mixed feeders. They browse and they graze, whereas the Kudu are browsers. They only feed off leaves of trees. I'm grateful, Dad, you asked, why are there no Kudu in the Mara? I don't know. They don't like the bright shukas that Brent wears. No, I'm actually not sure. I don't know. But I'm sure you do get kudu up in East Africa. I think is it the lesser kudu that you get up there? I can't remember now. I wonder if Tristan has a book on. I don't think so. I'm not sure. I actually didn't know that they don't see kudu up there. Maybe the vegetation, the area. Like some of the animals, especially the antelope, their distribution is quite different depending on area, on terrain, on food, water, all of that. I'm not sure. maybe we can ask one of the guys up in the Mara if they know why there are no kudu, or why they haven't seen kudu up there. I don't know why. I wonder if that little genet is still in this tree that I saw a few weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? Let's see. I don't see anything. Alright, well, let's head across to Brent in the Mara and see if he can tell us why there are no kudu up there.
Well, it's definitely not because of my shookers, and I think Byron's just jealous like James. That's why he's referring to them. But it's a little bit of a sad story why there are no kudu in the Mara. Now, certain parts of the Mara, this would never have been a really good kudu country, but certain parts of the Mara, especially on the triangle side, along the escarpment there, it used to be a lot more forested. But in the 1970s and 80s, there was a big push for indigenous woods, and a lot of that area that the kudus used to inhabit got the trees and stuff got removed, and slowly but surely the kudu dwindled. Now, that's not to say they might not come back. They do occur very close to the Mara in the southern Serengeti, and I think 1 or 2 were seen last year around the Tanzanian border, so it's not impossible, just very unlikely. Now, one must remember, everyone goes, oh, people bad, removing all the trees and animals and etc. Now, we've got to be very careful, because remember, this is a very different sort of landscape to what we're used to in other parts of Africa. Now, the Mara is a man-made landscape. Now, of course, there was always high nutrients in the soil. There's good rainfall because of our altitude. But the Mara was never this open. And if we go back long enough, there weren't that many wildebeest. So what's happened over the last 10, 15,000 years with the Maasai and the Mangati and the cattle grazers, fire, elephants and cows and people, obviously, have created this ecosystem. So there wouldn't actually be this huge amount of wildebeest and zebra if the habitat hadn't been changed by people slowly over thousands and thousands of years. So in removing a lot of the forested areas, what happened is it gives a lot of the decreaser grasses a chance to grow. So you've got lots of tree cover, grass battles. So with the removal of a lot of the tree cover and this really nutrient-rich soil has given spring to the open plains of the Masai Mara and Serengeti. Now, we only know about it going on for the last 15,000 years. It could have been going on for even longer. But so it is always very interesting, and quite often as human beings, we're quick to jump on certain things. But each different area has its own unique history and own unique sort of combination of variables that create it. Now, even if you were to... So even, well, for example, if we take the Sabi Sands, the Djuma, the Greater Kruger, James and I actually have had long discussions about this. We both believe that historically that area would have been a lot more open than it is now. Now, there is slightly different because there were no cows there because of tsetse flies, which were eradicated by people in the 50s. But the reason there being that we feel the elephant population would have been much, much larger than it is at the moment. So therefore that sort of mixed mosaic broadleafed woodland that you get in the Sabi Sands and the Greater Kruger would probably have been more open. Of course, we are speculating, we are guessing, but it makes sort of common sense to me. So it's quite an interesting thing if you sort of take a step back and start looking at the slightly bigger picture, the much bigger picture about what's going on. Now, the last time I was up here, as I said, it was quite a long time ago. I did have lots of luck with lions. So 3 young males and 4 females. Now, young males, not like those little boys, about 3.5, 4, sort of 5. So coming into prime. So let's see if they've been terrorizing the herds on top of Rhino Ridge. Last night as well, before we got to Amani's daughters, we saw the Paradise Pride. about 16 of them together, just below Picnic Crossing, but on this side of the river. So we've got that to look forward to if we keep going in this direction. The other thing I'm definitely going to look for this morning, actually maybe we'll do that right now, decisions, is Amani's two daughters. They were heading in this general direction from straight ahead of us. As I said, they've probably got moving early this morning, but I don't think they're going to be too far. They might have moved off the river to avoid the heavy lion pressure around the crossings. But it's going to be fascinating to see what's out and about this morning. Lots and lots of wildies up here still. Good morning, Courtney. Courtney is wondering, do non-migratory species end up migrating amongst the herd? Well, I wouldn't call it migrating. I would say seasonal local movements. So the topi swimming across the river, stuff like that. So even though it is happening during the migration, it probably happens throughout the year, depending on food availability and stuff like that. Now this is the spot. This is actually the exact spot where we saw those lions last time. But at the moment, there's just lots of Wildebeests. Some zebras. Now, there's quite a famous fig tree that lions like to sleep in up on Rhino Ridge. So I think we should go have a look at that fig tree, see if there's any lions around there. Then if we have no luck from there, I think we delve down towards the Mara River and the crossing, see if we can find Paradise Pride and those two beautiful cheetah sisters. What do you guys think? I think that's a good idea. What do you think, Dave? Dave likes it, but we don't actually care what Dave thinks, do we, Dave? No, I'm only joking. Of course I do. Now, it sounds like Byron got off to a good start on his bird challenge, but it sounds like he was already making excuses about winter. Byron, there are more than 100 bird species that live at Djuma, winter or not, but I do wish him luck. I always like a bit of a birding challenge. It is lots of fun. So let's go see how his search for our avian friends is going.
Down there. Yeah. There we go. Oh, wow, it's sitting out in the open. Giant eagle owl, everyone.
Number 2.
Beautiful. What a great find. Isn't that amazing? Saw those birds dive bomb. I thought there must be something around there. Oh, that is beautiful. I have not seen one of these for ages. I was hoping I was going to find a giant eagle owl this stint. Oh, this is beautiful. But it's sitting out in the open in this beautiful jackalberry and out in the light. David, there we go. You challenged me to find an eagle owl. Done. Second challenge completed. I think this challenge thing is going to be quite fun.
Oh, just got like bombed by a bird.
Yeah, so a lot of these birds are mobbing them. They're actually Retz's helmet strikes that just flew through there. I'm trying to see if I can see them. Now I wonder, we need to get those birds on camera for them to count, but there's crested barbets, grey go-away birds, Retz's helmet strikes. There's a lot going on in this jackalberry at the moment, but I'm just so excited about this owl. That is such a beautiful little position that it's in there, out in the open, warming up in the sun. And look at those pink eyelids. You can see it clearly as it closes its eyes slightly. Those beautiful pink eyelids. I'm so excited about this. I've not seen a giant eagle owl for ages, so this is wonderful. Wow. One of my favorite owls, I think. I must be honest, actually, I don't know if I have favorite owl. I think I like all of them. I love seeing owls, but especially these big giant eagle owls. Or the name the name is now Verreaux eagle owl. However, I just enjoy giant eagle owl. Cathy, you asked how the eagle owl got its name. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know what the reason for the eagle owl getting its name. If you think of it, there's spotted eagle owls, the giant eagle owl, the Cape eagle owl. I wonder if it hasn't got something to do with the size, perhaps, of these birds. They are very large, the size of some eagles. So I wonder if it's not got something to do with the size. But I don't know, Cathy. I'm not sure. I wonder if any of you can maybe research it and let us know if you can find any reason for them being named the eagle owl. But I wonder if it's got something to do with the size. I would assume so. I mean, as I said, we've got well, the large ones, the Cape eagle owl, the spotted eagle owl, the Verreaux eagle owl, which is this one, as I said, but I still like calling it the giant eagle owl. Really enjoying that sun. Look at that head turning around. The other large owl is obviously Pell's fishing owl, but I suppose those are named after their habits, like obviously Pell's fishing owl for catching fish. Michael, you asked, how do these giant eagle owls differ in size compared to the others? Well, the largest, I suppose the second largest one, or the largest owl, is the Pell's fishing owl. So they're very similar in size. Then it's the giant eagle owl. So these two are very similar, just over 60 centimeters. So 2 ruler lengths, if I can put it that way. And then the others are much smaller. I'll tell you, probably spotted eagle owl is closest to that. And those are only about 45 centimeters, so about 15 or 20 centimeters smaller than these big owls. But the two largest are the Pell's fishing owl and the giant eagle owl. This is such a lovely view of it. You see how things can just happen all of a sudden in the bush, driving around, and the next thing you find something like this. And it was actually, as I said, it was because I saw the Retz's helmet shrikes first. Those beautiful Retz's helmet shrikes. They flew past, I was watching them, and then I saw a few of them just dive bomb and wondered what it was, and then spotted the owl. Now, little one, you asked, what do the eagle owls typically eat? Well, these eagle owls will most definitely go for, look, I mean, the ones this size, the giant eagle owl, if you think of scrub hares at night, easy prey for a giant eagle owl. Warthogs, apparently, warthogs and monkeys, which is quite, I mean, I'm assuming that's quite rare for an eagle owl to go for a warthog. But maybe large birds. That's interesting. I'm just reading something else here now about the food. Large birds, so some including diurnal raptors. Now I wonder if because their food includes raptors, maybe that's where they get the name eagle owl from, is because they feed on some raptors. But I would say it's got quite a wide range of prey. So monkeys, rodents, the scrub hares that we get at night, birds out of trees. Bobby, you asked if, or how do I know if this male is, or if this owl is male or female? So I don't know, because they look very, very similar. The male and female look alike. However, the female giant eagle owl is larger than the male. It's about 10% larger, but just seeing one like this, I don't know, we can't tell. If we see two together, then you can probably tell which is male or female, judging by size. So Bobby, that would be the best way. But in terms of looks, if you have a look, we might be able to see those talons. Can't get closer, unfortunately, and I don't want to move any closer because I'm scared that we disturb it and it flies away.
The one we had with Stella was pretty, like we could get quite close, but yeah, you never know.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. Maybe just now we can try get a little bit closer, but so as I was saying, judging by size, you can tell male and female because they look very similar. The males and females look almost identical. But if you get two next to one another, the female will be larger. Such a beautiful face. It was such a nice surprise. You can hear some baboons barking in the distance behind us. Such a peaceful scene, this, sitting on the edge of this drainage line. I do enjoy drainage lines, just the thicker vegetation, and you've got to scan very carefully because there's obviously a lot of things going on in here. Toby, you asked if the giant eagle owls mate for life. So they do, Toby. They are monogamous, so they tend to stay together. And often you will find these owls in areas together, males and females. Often find two of them in the same area. But yes, Toby, they are indeed monogamous. Oh, there's a lot of birds here flying around at the moment. There's a black-collared barbet that was sitting up in the tree above us. I wonder if we can see that.
Where is it?
He's sitting up there, so just through there somewhere. I don't know, from your angle you might see it a bit better. Bit difficult to see.
Point on the monitor.
Oh no, you know what, Seb, I think it's just moved. Hold on a second, let me see. Oh no, he's still there. So
show me on the monitor, rather. Yeah.
So if we go up a little bit through the back there somewhere. There he is. There we go. Black-collared barbets, everyone. Can you see? Well done, Seb. Oh, lovely. We can add that bird to our list. Well, what a nice surprise. I might see if we can get a little bit closer to this owl for all of you. But while I do that, let's head across to Taylor and see how her morning is going.
sadly, no luck, the lion, and see down through the property, and they ended up popping onto Chitwa at one point, because I know the guides down this way, they were trying to track them. They did say they found some lionesses, but I think I didn't quite hear. It wasn't on anywhere we could drive, unfortunately. So I'm not sure what our plans will be for the rest of the morning. It's a tough one. I think we might just pop back onto Djuma. In fact, we're just leaving Chitwa now. And there are some guests in the room, so we weren't able to go down to the dam and do anything down that way. Let's go back onto Cheetah Cut Line, I think. And let's maybe go all the way to the most eastern boundary. Well, that's where Bubble's Hook boundary, of course, joins Cheetah Cut Line. And we'll see what we've got up there. Obviously, I was really keen to try and find those warthogs and see them coming out of their burrow. I suspect we would have missed that, though. So that will be on the cards then for tomorrow morning. We'll try and get it again, go and sit nicely. And hopefully it'll be a morning like it is today, because it's not particularly freezing. It was a little bit chilly, but it's actually really nice now. It's already starting to warm up. And I think we'll have a good chance then of catching them come out. On those cold mornings, it's really difficult. You could end up sitting for an hour. Maybe they decide they don't even want to come out for the day. That also happens. You know, some days they also just want to watch series in their pajamas and not really face the world. And well, it's almost the weekend, so we'll give them that. But maybe we get some giraffe. Maybe we'll find some more elephants. That, of course, will be lovely. Not sure where that herd would have gone that we had yesterday, but perhaps we can start moving a little bit further to the west, and maybe we'll bump into them. Otherwise, who knows? A leopard is always on the cards. You can't write them off. Last minute leopards, a very popular thing here in the sands. It's something that I'm definitely going to miss. And I don't think Byron has actually checked up in this eastern section either. So we'll give it a bash and see if we can pick up on any leopard tracks. That'll be really quite nice. But again, I'm not into tracking leopards anymore. Now, Jacqueline, you're wondering if Shongile has been seen since the big fight. I don't think so. Definitely not by us. I don't know where Hosanna has disappeared to. I don't know where Shongile has gone. I'm sure they're around because their tracks are still within the area. And if they get into those Tambuti thickets and in the drainage lines, remember that whole area around Gallagher is a nightmare in terms of us trying to find animals, because there's so many spots we can't actually get into, we can't drive. It's filled with drainage lines. So they could quite happily just be in there at the moment. There's no shortage of Impala and Steenbok and Dacre, which I think would be animals that they'd be going after. So what could have easily happened is that they could have just made a kill, and they might just be in the same spot, and that's why we're not seeing them. That happens a lot, especially if there's something decent. They could be in there for a few days and you won't see any tracks coming in or out. So we'll just have to see. There are some elephant tracks here though. They don't look too old. Maybe from late last night. It only looked like maybe it could be those same bulls that we've already seen. I also did see lion tracks here and there. I saw a set of male lion tracks coming out of Torchwood actually and going down Mabur Road. But who knows where that lion could be by now. I did try and follow them for a bit and they turned off the road. It was a bit difficult to see where exactly they went. And it seems like all the lions are split up at the moment. No word of the Nkuhumas coming back either. Obviously the last thing we heard is that they went into the Mandileti. So hopefully they come back. I'm sure they won't be able to go far and stay far away for too long. Obviously there's a lioness with a den on the property, and our hope is obviously to just catch her moving in and out until those cubs will be old enough to start viewing. We're obviously just waiting for everything to settle down before we decide on if we're going to send one vehicle in to have a look. Like I said, I don't think there's going to be much point because we're not going to see anything. It is so thick in there that if you saw just the tail, that would be a lot. You know what, there's no point in putting pressure on an animal like that. We might as well just wait until she changes den sites again, and hopefully she'll choose a spot that's a little bit easier to access, which will be great for us. But it should be a good day. I mean, there's not much wind now. I suspect the wind is going to pick up for this afternoon again, although I don't. Ideally, of course, it would be best if if it stays pleasant like it is at the moment. But we're going to go across to Brent now. He's had lots of luck with all sorts of things. He had a jackal earlier. He's moved on to the greatest scavenger of them all.
Well, scavengers in the making at the moment. Hello, little ones. Oh, there's a big scavenger at the back. Oh, this is another hyena den. This is a den right on top of Rhino Ridge. And I didn't know about this den. This is the first time I've been here. But there are hyenas everywhere. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And those are the only ones I can see. Now, of course, these hyenas are smiling, if they could, from ear to ear at the moment, because they are surrounded by Wildebeest. It's always funny when you're driving through these big groups of wildebeest, you suddenly find a perfect circle. It's always worth having a look in the middle. And quite often there is a predator right there. A time of plenty. So Dave's just going to keep panning slowly around just to show you. Oh, so there's multiple, well, it's the same den, but there's multiple holes they're utilizing. I just saw another little baby pop its head out of a different hole. And there we go, you can see migration all around. So there's an adult lying off to the left of us, and I just noticed a little, there we go, he's popped out now. Hey, little one, and you can see all the wildebeest in the background. It's just incredible. I am really liking this area at the moment. Dave, I think we're going to have to come back here tomorrow. Chatty Meg is wondering, hyenas don't kill their own food, do they? Well, and it's one of the biggest misconceptions about hyenas. Now, hyenas are, of all the predators we get out here, of the larger predators, so lion, cheetah, leopard, and hyena pretty much. Hyena are definitely the smartest. And the most social, and with the most complex social hierarchies. Now, being the most social, they're quite well organized, and that enables them to even put pressure on lions on kills, even though lions are physically much, much bigger. And hyenas, if they decide to hunt, actually have a higher success rate than lions. And with the migration around, these hyenas will be doing a lot of their own hunting. But of course, if the opportunity comes where they can chase another predator off a kill, they will take that in a flash. They are the most incredible opportunists. So, interesting thing. So, modern day lions, modern day hyenas, and modern day human beings all evolved around the same time. And in Africa, where in Africa is obviously one of those things that's always up for debate. But the latest research and findings, it seems like it was a simultaneous evolution of human beings across Africa, and that would probably work the same for the lions and the hyenas. Now, we have a very, very close bond with lions and hyenas, and I'm sure a lot of you sitting at home are going, what is this oak going on about? That can't be right. Now, it is very, very true if you look at the different dynamics of human beings with these apex predators, because, of course, we are also apex predators. And we have been the dominant diurnal predator. A lion, during the day, you can walk up to him, they'll run away. And in this area, where there's been competition between people and lions for thousands of years, far more than other parts of Africa, lions have a look at a Maasai who's dressed in a shuka, and they take off. So if you ever want to be safe walking around in the Mara, put on a shuka, the lions should leave you alone. Now, of course, that goes to a very different thing. So even in the Sabi Sands, in Botswana, in Zambia, in Congo, human beings during the day will walk up. You can walk up to lions quite safely, and 99.9% of the time they will run away from you, or they'll give you a warning charge and give you a chance to escape. Now, we always want to go home when it gets dark. Now, it's actually a built-in subconscious safety mechanism. So we are dominant when we can see. At night we can't see, lions can see. And a lion at night is a very different animal to a lion during the day. And human beings just become part of the food chain. Just ask Dave. So we've been spending a lot of nights with lions. And we've been with some skittish prides down in the south of the Mara that during the day are a bit edgy. But at night come so close that I have to shout at them and bang the door. So get them away from the car. They've even licked the bull bar a few times. So it is a very interesting dynamic that lions are complete different animal. They're much bolder at night. Hyenas are just lazy during the day generally. Hyenas are having that far sort of more evolved intelligence than the big cats. They've learned that there's no need to try eat a person, because people are messy things, and we don't have all the tools to be able to crush bones and all sorts of stuff. So then we leave a lot of food behind that they are able to utilize. And hyenas are not nearly as scared of man. They're nervous of man, but a hyena will walk up to you during the day or night. They'll run off, but they won't run off like a lion who gets a fright. They'll run 20 meters, 30 meters, turn around, look at you. So listen, my friend, you can't catch me, and I know if I keep hanging around your house, you're going to give me a free meal. For me, it's one of the most fascinating things about being out in the bushveld is of course just seeing nature itself, but also our relationship with nature and how evolution has tied us into different things. I mean, for example, how wildebeest react to people, how eland react to people, how they'll run a lot further away from a person than a wildebeest or an impala, and in how in different areas over a relatively short period of time that can change, and so learnt behavior that can actually become evolved behavior if it carries on for long enough. And I think these little relationships that play out, and often without us even noticing, is for me possibly one of the most fascinating things about being out in the wilds, and just being able to spend all my time observing all these little nuances, and not only between us and the animals, between the animals themselves. Oh, we've got a curious cub who's decided to come have a look, and then as soon as I sort of looked at him, he pretended he wasn't looking this way. I'm not interested in you. I wasn't coming to look at this car. I was actually looking at the wildebeest. You're not that interesting. But of course,